Hey, what's up, guys? It's Carlos back at it today. DCS crew, we've got a mail call, and guess what? It is from Eugene Kwan. If you haven't checked out his channel, be sure to go ahead and check it out. He has some really cool, awesome stuff. He does some really cool dashboard reviews, and aside from that, he's a really, really nice guy. I got the opportunity to hang out with him over at SHOT Show 2020, and I mean, he's just a really stand-up guy, very nice, and I really can't speak highly enough of him. If you haven't had a chance to check out his channel, be sure to do that. But in the meantime, he actually sent me something here on behalf of the Apex Pass Around, and it is the Civivi front flipper, if I'm not mistaken, the Exarch. So I haven't opened it yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that live here on the channel, and we'll go ahead and take a look. So thank you so much, Eugene. This is the Civivi Exarch from Civivi Knives. And yeah, big thanks to the Apex Pass Around for providing this to Eugene and myself. So stay tuned. After the intro, we're going to go ahead and crack this baby open. All right, guys, welcome back to Daily Carry Solutions. So, interestingly enough, while I was at SHOT Show, I got to check this out at the Civivi booth. David from Civivi and we was kind enough to go through some of the Civivi line as well as the We line, and this was one that actually really grabbed my attention because of the fact that there was a flipper counterpart to this particular knife. This is actually a front flipper offering from them. It's the second of the front flippers to be offered by them, if I'm not mistaken. The first one being an Elijah Isham design named the McKenna. This one is slightly larger than the McKenna, and it operates a little bit differently. David actually taught me a really cool way to be able to open this particular knife. But before I do that, I do want to tell you that I do have the flipper variant, which is not called the Exarch. Or the Exarch. I'll call this the Exarch for right now. This one right here is called the Chronic. And I don't know where the hell and what the hell anybody was smoking when they came up with that, but I crack myself up every time I say that freaking name. So this is, I'm assuming, something that Dr. Dre would probably EDC proudly, and I guess C for Chronic, right? Actually, I really like the Civivi line because of the C that's on there, because obviously my name is Carlos, and the Civivi line is just a nice look on the pivot. Okay, so this right here is the Chronic, and this right here is the Exarch. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take this out of the way, which, by the way, comes with every Civivi purchase. You do get that pouch with a cleaning cloth, some stickers, and some information about Civivi's line of knives. So let me actually put them side by side over here so you can see what they look like. Pretty much, with the exception of the blade, these two are identical. All the way down to, you know, the way that they are shaped here, the scales, and even the deep carry clip on the other side. Mine happened to be in blue, this happened to be in black, and I wonder if I swapped the back spacers, if they would still work as normal. They probably would. But in any case, I did want to go ahead and showcase these two here. The reason being is there is the blade for the Civivi Exarch, excuse me, the Chronic. I haven't been smoking, sorry guys. But the this is the Chronic right here with a beautiful blade shape that is very, if I'm not mistaken, it's very stereotypical for a clip point design, as you can see here. It has the Bowie style to the top and a nice flat grind that goes all the way to the top. Very, very nice, slicey office style folder with a thicker stock than one would think. And it has some chamfering to the sides, but I mean, fires open extremely well. It has a nice grind to it. So you know, out of the same vein, you have the Exarch. So the Exarch is a front flipper. Okay, you can roll it out slow, you can roll it out fast, or you can do it the way that I was taught by David over at the Civivi booth, and it's with your index finger. You can flick it out open like that. That's probably the coolest way that I have seen this. I've never seen somebody actually be able to do something like that with a front flipper, And now I can do it all the time. I think that was so cool. So this is the way that it looks right here. Very nice, sleek design. And this is the Chronic. As you can see, very, very similar blades, but where one has that clip point, the other one has kind of more of a drop point design. It's a slightly different element to that of that Bowie style, you know, almost clip point design that the Chronic has. And I wanted to put these two together because this is very commonly asked. Okay, they share the same deep carry clip, very similar ergonomics. In fact, they're the same ergonomics, if I'm not mistaken. Very same blade dimensions. And I did want to go ahead and show the thickness on both. And as you can see, they are both a liner lock with stainless steel liners. And what's interesting about this is that the pivot screws are always, there's the show side, which has the Civivi logo on there, and then there's the clip side, which has a black pivot screw. It's interesting that it has a black pivot screw because that's the only piece, if I'm not mistaken, on this particular knife that is part of the hardware that is blackened. Everything else is actually that steel or stainless steel look. Because if you look at the screw on here, which is actually pretty simple design, as well as the Exarch, yeah, it has that stainless steel look. It has the two screws here, that one pivot screw, and on this side there is that one screw here at the bottom, and the pivot collar, which is, well, excuse me, the show side, which has the Civivi logo. Now, another thing that's kind of different between the two is the blade steel. Now, on the Chronic, you will have 9CR18 MOV. That's actually a steel that Civivi was actually rolling out quite a bit when they first came out. It's something a bit more stainless than the semi-stainless steel D2 that has been like the gold standard for Chinese knives that have been coming out for quite some time. It's a very good, very well-rounded tool steel that has semi-stainless properties, and when heat treated correctly and, you know, with maintenance, it's actually proven to be a pretty good budget value steel. It's very durable. 9CR18 MOV is also a very good quality steel. It takes a nice keen edge, and that is, yeah, it's on the Exarch. It is not, excuse me, I'm sorry, it's on the Chronic. It is not on the Exarch. They actually switched that to D2. So where you have 9CR on the Chronic, you have D2 steel on the Exarch. Now, this is a prototype, and unfortunately the lettering on here, I guess, was based on the 9CR blade that they took from here, and they actually retooled it a little bit differently, but it is not 9CR. All of the releases for the Exarch are going to be in D2 steel. So do not fret if you happen to see in this video where there's some lettering somewhere that shows, you know, any different. So one thing, I'll go ahead and take this out of the way. And I do want to compare this with a few other knives. Let's go ahead and place that here. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring a couple other guys. Another Chinese company that is climbing up the ranks, that is Concept Knives. This is the Mini Cryo. Okay. Let's see here. This is QSP, Quality Service Price, if I'm not mistaken, is what that QSP stands for. This is the Penguin in D2. Great freaking design and great materials. That's Blue Jean micarta and D2 steel. Speaking of D2, we've got another D2 with the Texel. This is an Atom Purvis design from Best Tech. And let's see, what else do we have here? Let's get a little bit snazzy here. We got the Microtech LUDT. This is the large underwater demolition team knife in Merlot with a stone wash blade. Ooh, very nice. And let's see here. This is the SIG Legion X5. Okay. And what else we got here? What else we got here? Okay, yeah, one more. This is the Leatherman Wingman, okay? So there's a couple of comparisons for you to go ahead and check out, all right? Now, what do I like and what do I feel could have been improved? Okay, well, so let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about the imprint, okay? This is a Big Pro. This is how thin the knife is, and that's how it's gonna feel in your pocket. There are pens that I have seen that are thicker than this knife. I mean, you know, you take your average marker, and let's go ahead and show the Sharpie. Look at that. it's actually thicker or as thick as a Sharpie, okay? And it's got a better clip than it does too, by the way. This isn't a deep carry clip, and this definitely is. So something to consider, okay? You can actually put this in your front pocket. You can put it just on the side of your pocket of your slacks. And I mean, it works extremely well. This is a great office knife. It does not leave a large imprint. It's just thick enough. It's just thin enough to be able to go ahead and masquerade itself in your pocket as just the average pocket item, maybe even a pocket pen with the nice Civivi clip that runs default on a lot of their knives. And that's something that I really, really do like about this particular knife. Now, another thing I really like is the blade shape. As I had said before, the Chronic actually has more of a clip point style blade. This does not. This is actually a really nice blade that would make an awesome gentleman's knife or a gentleman's steak knife to be able to go ahead and take to a fancy restaurant. Get rid of that ugly, you know, dull serrated edged steak knife that they give you at, like, you know, all these you know, locations and stuff that serve you, you know, high quality steak. What you want to do is you want to slice it up with something that is going to keep the juices in there. And if you get a nice oh, sorry, I was drooling when I was thinking of a nice steak. When you're going ahead and you're slicing open a piece of meat, you want to be able to get something that keeps those juices in there. Talk to any chef and they're going to tell you that a nice thin blade to be able to go ahead and cut a swath into that steak actually is going to make it taste a lot better. And this is something that I would definitely take with me to a steakhouse and use as a gentleman's steak knife. Very, very well done. And the fact is, with that 9CR18 MOV steel, it's going to take a really awesome edge. This came centered right out of the box, and so did the Chronic, by the way. I do want to go ahead and mention that. And aside from that, you know, you have different deployment methods. You can choose to go ahead and deploy it slowly. You can deploy it a little bit more quickly. Let me try it one more time. And then you can try it the way that I did with, let's try it one more time. Whoop, there we go. And there are different ways to be able to deploy it. Now, this isn't something that you would typically give to somebody because they're not going to know how to open this type of thing. And if you don't know how to open it right, you can easily bite yourself with this. So I would not recommend that. Another pro, with the thinness, you know, they've had to use a couple of, you know, they've had to restrict the kind of lock that's on here. You have these liners that are just thick enough to be able to go ahead and provide some reinforcement. You have the G10 that doesn't flex, even with the portion over here that has the liner. And then you have the liner lock that is very, that it gives you a nice positive lock. I want to say that lockup is at about 45 to 50%. Perfect lockup every time. I mean, even if you roll this out slowly, that lockup is just on point. And I'm going to show you one last time. I'm going to do this slowly, very close to the camera so you can see. Look at that lockup right there. Nice and strong. That was, I mean, about as slow as you can do it. And it just locks up extremely well. Okay. So, as far as ergonomics in the hand, I mean, it's what you'd expect for a knife that's this thin. And, you know, this, I want you to guess, I guess, with this blade and handle shape. And that brings me to my con. Now, the problem with this is that this is the kind of knife that, you know, if you want to use for just very small, quick tasks that you take out, you know, you go ahead and present it, you cut with it, and then you put it away, you know, put it in your pocket and you get on with the rest of your day. If you need something that you're going to be using to cut through boxes and tape and just, you know, use for a very long time, this may not be the knife for you because of the fact that, you know, the way that it's shaped, it's not very ergonomic in the hand. While it doesn't leave a hot spot with this this pocket clip, it does feel like when you're using it for a while, your hand's gonna cramp up because you have to hold it in a certain way. I mean, I just feel it here, you know. And aside from that, while there is jimping here in the front, it's really used for when you are opening the knife, not when you actually have a positive grip on the knife, either a positive standard or reverse grip. So it would have been nice to see a little bit more jimping up here, or maybe even a small swedge, you know, or just like a cutout here for you to be able to go ahead and use. You could actually put it so that it kind of ducks in under where this liner lock or this cutout is, and it would actually look to be pretty cool. Other than that, I will say that the opening and closing of the knife has actually proven to be, very easy. The lock is actually easy to be able to go ahead and attain. And just, I mean, from the different choices that Civivi gives you, you do have different choices as far as scale designs. I know that there's black, there is gray, if I'm not mistaken, and there probably is a blue setup too. If not, you can probably just go ahead and do a blade swap with your Civivi Chronic, and you'd have a front flipping Civivi Exarch, so in blue. So I mean, I could be wrong, but it may actually work that way. All right. So one other thing I do want to go ahead and mention, and this is something that I'm just seeing right now, I could be wrong, but the Chronic actually runs on bearings, okay? And the action is actually very fluid on the Chronic. Now, the Exarch feels like, I mean, it's a fantastic action, but if I'm not mistaken, that looks like, oh yeah, no, it is. I thought it was on washers. It is on bearings. Okay, cool. And one thing I do want to say about Civivi with their bearings, they do have steel cages with their steel bearings in their cages. It's not like a plastic cage like some other knife companies use when they come out with a budget design. You actually get steel bearings in a metal cage. You do not get a plastic cage, so there's not going to be a problem with that once you're using it for a while. I think that the tent ramp on this is actually very well done. And I mean, the action is really good. I mean, whether you use that front flip method that I showed you, or even just use your thumb to be able to actuate it slowly, or even flick it open, it works pretty well. And I mean, being that it has a C, I love everything from Civivi because of the fact that it just feels like it's already got a monogram specifically for me. And that's the honest truth. So guys, nice little budget design from Civivi. This is the Exarch Proto. This is coming out in D2 steel, deep carry clip, G10 scales, nice slicey blade, and very similar but somewhat different than its counterpart that is the standard flipper, which is the Civivi Chronic, as you can see here. Great little setup. I am interested in seeing what else they come up with in the future, and I want to say a huge thank you goes out to Civivi for going ahead and providing this to the Apex pass around. I'm a big fan of the company. I'm a big fan of their reps. David and the rest of the Civivi crew are great people, and I love running into them. If you haven't seen my video from the We and Civivi booth this year at SHOT Show, I do implore you to go ahead and consider checking out that video and subscribing if you aren't a current subscriber already. Now, that being said, no matter whether you carry the Chronic or the Exarch, just remember, if you EDC, think of DCS. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Feel free to go ahead and contact me at Daily Carry Solutions on Instagram or via my website, dailycarrysolutions.com, if you have a question. And hopefully I will see you next time. In the meantime, take care. Peace.